take it now to your teacher, Professor of Law, Professor Wokocha. Professor Wokocha, I'm sure that you have reactions to what your student has said.
Thank you. I also greet my learned friend, Honorable Loge. Honorable Loge was only my student for a while, and we are now colleagues. And I respect his position completely. On the issue, I think what he has stated is practically the facts. There is only one point that is not being gotten right, and that is the fact that the lower court did not declare seats vacant. The declaration of vacancy or the process of a person vacating a seat is completely a legislative affair. It does not leave any room for judicial participation. The judiciary only participates when there is a dispute as to whether the Constitution has been complied with properly or not. So if you look at Section 109, it states what happens. It says a member shall vacate his seat if the things listed under subsection 1 happens. And then it goes on to say that this is so, however, effect shall be given to this, however, that at the next session, the speaker or a member shall present the fact that a member has vacated to the House. And if the House is satisfied that that is so, it will not take the necessary steps, which is giving effect to the vacation of seats. So where the judiciary, where Section 272(3) talks of the role of the Federal High Court, it is if anybody disputes that process that has taken place, the person is to take that matter to the Federal High Court, not to the State High Court. So I think that the judgment of yesterday terminated the process that was handled by the State High Court, presided over by Honorable Justice Wale. And the Court of Appeal said, look, you did not have the jurisdiction in the first place. Let's leave the fact that you acted too early. There was no basis, no urgency requiring you are granting the ex parte order, the first one. But even the subsequent one where you had the parties, you acted without jurisdiction because this matter can only be handled by the Federal High Court. So if that is the case, what is overturned is the order of the High Court, the State High Court. And what is that order? The parties that approach the State High Court ask the court for a specific prayer. The seat of these gentlemen having been declared vacant, stop them from parading themselves. Not that it should declare vacant. And the court did not declare the seats vacant. The court only granted those interim and subsequently parading themselves as members of the House of Assembly of vacation of seats or declaration of vacancy of those seats was a legislative activity and has
Professor
not been
Wokocha,
set aside. The Court of Appeal yesterday did not make any reference.
Professor,
yeah.
Pardon me if I may butt in there. We lost you for a bit because of the connection, the virtual connection. Perhaps you could rewind a little bit from where you talked about jurisdiction.
Okay. So I was saying the jurisdiction of the court is jurisdiction to entertain any dispute over the exercise of that authority. Any dispute arising as to whether or not Section 109 and Section 109 sub 1 and sub 2 were properly carried out. And not that the court will be the one to declare the vacancy. There is no role for the court in Section 109. Its role arises only where there is a dispute as to whether it's been properly done. So if, for instance, I defect from my political party and I am a member of the House, and my defection is considered as having met the provision of Section 109 sub 1, and the House subsequently declared my seat vacant, if I feel that my defection had a good reason and that it does not fall within the provision of Section 109, It's my responsibility to approach a federal high court to distinguish between my defection and the defection intended by the Constitution to have that effect. It is the federal high court that will declare whether or not the declaration of my seat as being vacant was properly done or not. And not that the court will declare my seat vacant. It is not a judicial responsibility. You can look at section 109 sub 1, which lists the conditions that lead to vacation of seat, and look at subsection 2 of it, which again states what the House must do after that to give effect to subsection 1. So I think that's where the mix-up is coming from. As Honorable Oge rightly observed, issue of defection was not before the court and could not have been before the court. That was not an issue before the lower court. The issue before the lower court was to stop the people from parading themselves as members and officers, their seats having been declared vacant by the House. So the only thing the court set aside yesterday was the order of that court stopping them from parading themselves. That means you can continue to parade yourself until the question is properly raised before the Federal High Court, which the Court of Appeal said is the court with the right, with the jurisdiction to deal with that matter. So I think that that's the only place where there is a difference between Prof, our views.
If I may have your take. So simply the judge, the Lord Justices, by the way, simply said to the people who filed that case at the State High Court, you went to the wrong court. Yes. And now there are two people. There are two people claiming speakership. So in the eyes of the law, because they've defected, that's still under contention. You said they can still parade themselves as lawmakers. But who is the Speaker of the House under the law? In this situation...
Can I come in now?
Yeah, I was asking Prof Wokocha, you can come in after him, sir.
Okay, good. Now, if you are talking about the position of the law, you look at the Constitution. If the Constitution says you vacate your seat if you defect without reason or without the reason stated in the Constitution, which is, I think that is well known now, that your political party is in crisis in such a way that it can no longer continue, or you are part of a faction of your political party that has merged with another political party that is also in the House. If that is the case, your defection is different from what is intended by section 109 subsection 1. But other than that, the court says when that happens, along the other reasons that have happened, all that requires to be done is that the House will meet and that fact will be brought to the attention of the House, and they will give effect to subsection 1, which is declaring that seat vacant. So if that has happened, in the eyes of the law, there are only, as it is now, because I think 28 people altogether have resigned, so to speak. 7 defected, 1 resigned. So 28 people have vacated the House. It means Rivers State House of Assembly is left in the eyes of the law with only 3 members.